You know what's crazy? Most people think you need a farm or a huge backyard to grow your own natural fruits. But in this video, I will tell you about the 10 most nutritious fruits that you can grow easily in pots on even a small yard. Every plant in this list gets easier and healthier, and don't miss the last one. Imagine walking out onto your porch in your pajamas, reaching into a small pot by the door, and picking a handful of fresh, ripe strawberries before your coffee even finishes brewing. No car ride, no grocery store lighting, no plastic clamshell, just you, a pot of soil, and fruit that was growing on the vine minutes ago. If that sounds like something only people with huge backyards and greenhouses can do, stick around. Because today we are going through 10 fruits that will completely change how you think about what is possible in a small space, whether that is a tiny balcony, a sunny windowsill, or a porch with just enough room for a few containers. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which fruits thrive in pots, why they work so well in small spaces, and how growing even a few of them could quietly save your family real money while giving you fruit that tastes like nothing you have ever bought at a store. Welcome to Bio Living, where we help you make your life healthier and better naturally, and share the knowledge that the media and big pharma often leave out of the conversation. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss our daily uploads. And any affiliate links for the products mentioned in this video will be in the description below. Here is something most people never stop to think about. For most of human history, families did not drive to a store to buy fruit. They grew it right outside their door in whatever space they had. Even in crowded cities 100 years ago, you would find pots of berries on windowsills and small fruit trees squeezed into courtyards. Somewhere along the way, as supermarkets took over and convenience became the priority, that habit faded. We got used to fruit that traveled thousands of miles, sitting in trucks and warehouses for days or even weeks before it reached the shelf. Research in food science has repeatedly shown that produce picked early for shipping and then ripened in transit does not develop the same level of vitamin C and antioxidant compounds as fruit that ripens naturally in the sun. That is not an opinion. That is simply how plant biology works. The fruit keeps building nutrients right up until the moment it is fully ripe, and a lot of store-bought produce never gets that chance. Number 1 on our list is the strawberry. This is the perfect starting point because strawberries are famously forgiving, and they are one of the fastest fruits to reward you with an actual harvest. A single hanging basket or a wide, shallow pot on a sunny windowsill can produce handfuls of berries throughout the season. What makes this especially interesting is the difference between a homegrown strawberry and a supermarket one. Commercial strawberries are often bred and picked for how well they survive shipping, not for how ripe or flavorful they are when you eat them. Studies on produced nutrient content have shown that strawberries continue increasing their vitamin C and antioxidant levels the longer they stay on the plant in full sunlight. When you pick one straight from your own pot, fully red and sun-ripened, you are getting a fruit at its nutritional peak, something a plastic container from the store almost never offers. All strawberries really need is at least 6 hours of direct sun, well-draining soil, and consistent watering. Even a small apartment balcony that gets decent light can produce a surprising amount of fruit. Number 2 is the blueberry, and this one surprises a lot of people because they assume blueberry bushes need a huge yard. That used to be true, but plant breeders have developed compact varieties, sometimes called half-high or dwarf blueberries, specifically designed to thrive in containers. A pot roughly 20 inches wide is enough for one of these smaller bushes to produce a real harvest. Blueberries are well known for their high concentration of anthocyanins, which are the deep blue and purple pigments that also function as powerful antioxidants in the plant. Research in nutrition science has consistently linked diets higher in these types of berry compounds to better markers of long-term wellness, though of course no single fruit is a magic fix, and this is simply one small piece of an overall healthy lifestyle. One thing people often get wrong with potted blueberries is the soil. Blueberries need acidic soil to thrive, so a standard potting mix usually is not enough. A blend made for acid-loving plants, or one mixed with a bit of peat moss, makes a massive difference in how well the bush produces. Number 3 might be the most surprising one on this list, and that is the Meyer lemon. Yes, an actual citrus tree growing happily in a pot, even in climates that get cold winters. Meyer lemons are naturally more compact than standard lemon trees, and they were specifically prized by home growers because they handle container life so well. In colder regions, people simply keep the pot on a porch or balcony through the warm months, and bring it indoors near a bright window once temperatures drop. The fruit itself is sweeter and less acidic than a typical grocery store lemon, and citrus fruits in general are well documented in nutritional research for their vitamin C content, which plays a supporting role in immune function. There is something deeply satisfying about walking past a small lemon tree on your porch with actual fruit hanging from it, especially when you realize how rarely people attempt this at home, even though it is far more achievable than most assume. Number 4 is the fig, specifically dwarf varieties like Petite Negra, which were bred to stay small and compact while still producing full-sized, richly flavored fruit. Figs have an interesting history here because they were one of the earliest cultivated fruits in human civilization, going back thousands of years in the Mediterranean region, long before modern agriculture existed. A dwarf fig in a large pot, kept in a sunny spot, can produce 2 harvests in a single growing season in the right conditions. Figs are naturally high in fiber and contain a range of plant compounds that have been studied for their role in digestive health, though again, this is supporting information, not a treatment claim of any kind. What makes figs especially appealing for small spaces is how forgiving they are about pruning. You can literally keep trimming the tree to whatever size fits your space, and it will keep producing fruit year after year. Number 5 is the dwarf pomegranate. Full-sized pomegranate trees can grow quite large, but dwarf varieties were specifically developed for ornamental and container use, and many of them still produce full-flavored fruit, just in smaller quantities than their larger cousins. Pomegranates have gotten a lot of attention in nutritional research over the years because of their concentration of polyphenol, a category of plant compounds that has been widely studied for its antioxidant properties. What is fascinating is that pomegranate cultivation goes back thousands of years, appearing in ancient texts and archaeological sites across the Middle East and Mediterranean. Yet today most people only encounter it as an expensive juice on a store shelf, completely disconnected from the plant it came from. Growing one yourself, even a small dwarf variety in a large pot on a sunny patio, reconnects you with a fruit that used to be a common part of home gardens for thousands of years before industrial farming pushed it into the background. That covers the first 5 fruits on our list, and already you can see a pattern forming. Compact, container-friendly versions of fruits that used to only exist in books about huge orchards have quietly become available to anyone with a sunny corner and a few pots. In the next part, we are going to cover 5 more fruits, including a couple of berries most people have never even heard of, plus a climbing vine that can turn a small trellis into a genuine passion fruit harvest. Stick with us, because the next 5 might completely change what you think is possible in a small space. Let us pick up right where we left off, moving into the second half of this list, where things get even more interesting. Number 6 is the thornless blackberry. Traditional blackberry bushes are notorious for being aggressive, thorny, and space-hungry, which is exactly why most people assume they need a big backyard to grow them. Thornless varieties completely change that equation. They were bred specifically to be more manageable, and many of them do exceptionally well in large containers with a simple trellis or stake for support. Blackberries are rich in the same type of anthocyanin compounds we talked about with blueberries, and studies on berry consumption have consistently pointed to these plant pigments as some of the most concentrated antioxidant sources in the entire fruit family. A single thornless blackberry plant in a 20-gallon container, given a sunny spot and something to climb, can produce a genuinely impressive harvest by its second growing season. Number 7 is one most people have never even heard of, the honeyberry, sometimes called haskap. This fruit originates from cold regions of Russia, Japan, and parts of Canada, and it is almost completely unknown in Western markets until fairly recently. Honeyberries are one of the earliest fruiting plants of the entire growing season, often producing ripe fruit even before strawberries. They are also naturally packed with the same anthocyanin compounds we mentioned earlier, and some nutrition research has actually pointed to honeyberries containing even higher concentrations of these antioxidant pigments than blueberries, pound for pound. A honeyberry bush stays compact enough for a large pot, tolerates cold winters far better than most fruiting plants, and rewards you with fruit incredibly early in the season, which makes it a genuinely exciting addition to a small space garden. Number 8 is the passion fruit vine, and this one is for anyone who has a little vertical space, even if the floor space is limited. Passion fruit is a climbing vine, which means instead of spreading outward like a bush, it grows upward along a trellis, a railing, or even simple string supports. This makes it one of the most space-efficient fruiting plants you can grow because you are using height instead of footprint. A single vine in a large pot, given something sturdy to climb, can produce dozens of fruits in a season once established. Passion fruit has a long history in South America, where it was cultivated by indigenous communities long before it became a novelty item in Western grocery stores, usually sold at a steep price for just a few small fruits. The vine itself is fast-growing and, once it gets going, tends to surprise people with how quickly it covers a trellis and starts flowering. Number 9 is the dwarf mulberry, specifically compact varieties bred for container growing. Mulberry trees have an interesting place in history, having been cultivated for thousands of years in China, originally to feed silkworms as part of silk production, long before anyone thought of them as a home garden fruit. The fruit itself looks similar to a long blackberry and has a naturally sweet, slightly tart flavor. Dwarf mulberry varieties stay small enough for a large container and can be kept pruned to whatever height fits your space, while still producing a generous harvest. Because mulberries bruise and spoil quickly after picking, they almost never appear in grocery stores, which means growing your own is genuinely one of the only realistic ways most people will ever get to taste one at full ripeness. Number 10. Closing out our list is the dwarf citrus family more broadly, specifically calamondin oranges and kumquats, which are some of the most reliable container fruits that exist. These small citrus varieties were specifically prized historically in regions like the Philippines and southern China for their ability to thrive in pots on porches and courtyards, long before container gardening became a modern trend. Kumquats in particular are unusual because you eat the entire fruit, peel included, which is where a lot of their vitamin C content is concentrated. A kumquat or calamondin tree in a pot can produce fruit for months at a time, and because the trees stay naturally small, they are honestly one of the easiest ways to bring a genuine fruit tree onto a balcony or patio, even in a colder climate where you would simply move the pot indoors for winter. Looking back across all 10 of these, a clear pattern emerges. Nearly every fruit we associate with big farms or expensive grocery store price tags has a compact, container-friendly version that plant breeders developed specifically because they knew people wanted this. The information was never actually hidden. It just never got the spotlight, because there is a lot more profit in selling you fruit at the store every week than there is in helping you grow it once and harvest it for years. If you are also interested in natural approaches to health and want to understand more about what you might actually be paying for in the health and wellness world, you should check out our complete research guide, The Natural Pharmacy. It walks through a huge range of natural approaches people have used for generations. Visit our website mentioned in the description to check it out. Now that you know these 10 fruits, the real question is which one fits your space best. If you only have room for one pot, start with strawberries, since they reward you the fastest and forgive almost any beginner mistake. If you have a sunny railing or fence, the passion fruit vine will genuinely surprise you with how much it produces. And if you want something almost nobody else has ever tasted, track down a honeyberry plant, because very few people even know it exists. And remember, this is not medical advice. This is just our deep research with sources. So if you have a major health concern, please consult a doctor.